Now, in this case, up on the search engine, I'll just type in Microsoft Teams. So you can go in through a website, and I'll just go do a search on Microsoft Teams. And then here is the actual site. So it's going to be products.office.com/Microsoft/Teams. So we're going to click there. And now I'm going to sign in. So you can see how it's part of the Office suite. It actually comes with Office 365. And now you're going to need a Microsoft account to go into Teams. So I'm sure if you have Office 365, you have your Microsoft account. It's probably your email to allow you to get into Teams. So I just clicked on sign in, of course. And now you can see that I'm in. So one way to get into your Teams is through this website. Did you see what I did there? Let me close out of that again. So I'm gonna I can show you how to update your picture and update your information. So I'm gonna pick on sign out here. It'll just take a second to get me out of there. So this is what I mean by a Microsoft account. All right, so I have a couple of those, but I'm going to pick on this one this time. And then, of course, you have your password. And now it's going to let me back in. Now look what this screen says. You can get the Windows app. So there's an app for Windows, like a desktop computer, and there's also an app that you can get for your phone. So if you go to the Google Store or the Apple Store on your phone or on your device, you'll be able to download the Teams app into there as well. So you can go into Teams in multiple ways. You can go into Teams through the website. You can use the Windows app, or here it's called the web app, which is actually the website, or you can download the app to your phone or your device. All right, so here I'm going to pick on use the web app, which is really the web page. So that's the way I went in before. I'm actually going to minimize this window and minimize this window. Now, another way you can get in, once you download that Teams app, then you can use the Teams app on your PC or on your device or on your phone, right? So let's try that one. I'm going to double click on Microsoft Teams. I'd already downloaded the app and installed the app. It shouldn't be hard to do that. Although, of course, sometimes you need your IT team to download the software and install that on your computer. So let's see what this method looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and pick on continue. And now it wants you to log on as well. So as a matter of fact, let me go back to that web page. So I'll log out of that one so I can get in through the app. Good. So this is what you have your Microsoft account, and you would get that with Office 365. It's probably your email address. Okay, and then of course it's going to ask me for my password. So I just wanted to show you that there were two ways to get into there. Hopefully that's going to come up. Okay, but anyway, you can see either way is perfectly fine. Now I'm going to go back through the web page. That one doesn't seem to be coming up right now. So I'll go back to the web. I'm going to log in this way. And now, in this case, I could download the app from here, but I'm going to use the web app instead, which means use the internet. So you can get to this from any device. You can get to this from phones or from your devices or from a computer. It'll work on the Mac world as well. So let's go back to our PowerPoint. And here's the app that I would have on my desktop. And then, of course, it's showing you how to log on. And then, of course, you would enter your password. It's a Microsoft account, right? Now also, you can, sometimes this QR code will come up and that'll help you download the app, the mobile app. So I could just scan that with my phone and that'll start to download that. Otherwise, you can go to the App Store for Apple or Google Play. I'll show you how to get to that screen. It comes up when you log in, but there's another way to get to that as well. And now we're on the Teams environment. So let's go back into our website. And that's the screen that I'm looking at right now. Good. Okay, so let's take a tour of this screen. Now, over here, remember how I said it's part of your SharePoint and it's part of Office 365. So if I click on the squares over here, then you'll see your other Microsoft Office 365 apps, Outlook, OneDrive. It actually works very well with OneDrive, which of course is Microsoft's cloud storage system. It works with Word, PowerPoint, even OneNote, SharePoint, right? So there we have our apps. I'm going to put that away. Now follow my mouse across the top here. So I can set up a new chat. We'll do some chats during our session today. So a chat is where you can type back and forth to each other and you can share files and things like that. Now, you won't be able to see each other's faces until we do a meeting. So there's a chat within Teams, and a chat is just sharing text and sharing files and these kind of things. If you actually wanted to see each other's faces through the camera, you would set up a meeting. But here we can set up a new chat. Of course, we have a search area. Now, if I come over here to the right, so this is my company name. And over here, this is another person on my team, okay? So this is going to show people on my team. Now, I'm going to pick on this picture. When you first go into there, you may have to set up your picture in your profile. So I'm just going to go all the way to the right, and I'll pick on my picture. In your case, it might be like just a blank face or something there. Good. So let's go ahead and set up our profile. So you can see how that available means that person is online. So I'm going to pick on settings now. Good. So now we can start to set up the settings for how you want to see the screen. So in this case, I like the default theme, but I can pick a darker theme or high contrast. This is good for people with who have trouble seeing. The high contrast might be better. So I can pick on languages. Of course, English is for me, but we have other ones in there as well. Good. So I'll pick on privacy. So you can make it so that the do not disturb is on, so other people can't, get you on a chat if you put on do not disturb. When you send a message, you can get a read receipt. Now there's notifications. So in other words, when do you want to get emails? So you can decide which notifications that you would like to get when somebody sends you a chat or invites you to a meeting. You can turn your notifications on. And a call can be an audio call through the internet, or it can be a visual call. So over here we have many settings to deal with. I'm going to close that window. So the way I got to that was I clicked on my picture and then I picked on the word settings. And there's other things that we could do. Here I can download the desktop app or the mobile app. That's another way to do that. Good. So let's go ahead, and in this case, I'm going to pick on the three dots over here. And notice how you have more settings there. So when it talks about the word channel, you have your teams, and maybe the team is for your department or for your company, and a channel might be for like a different project within that team. So a channel can be its own separate folder, or maybe that's for a different project, just to make sure that we understand the terminology. It's kind of a subset of the team, and we'll talk about how to do that, okay? So in this case, so there is me, and I can pick on that picture and actually pick on change picture. So then I would upload a picture or remove that. So that's how I actually got my picture into there. No problem with that. Sometimes I like to personalize that, and then other people would see that as well. Good. So let's go over to the left-hand side now. When we pick on the word activity, then if people had chatted with you, or if they had replied to you or mentioned you in the chat, then it would show up here. It would accumulate all of that into your activity. And you can see when I picked on the pull down and I picked on my activity. So these are things that I've done within Teams in the past couple weeks. I chatted, I had something to a travel project, and so on. All right, so that's what activity means. Now, we're going to go over to chat. Now, within there, you can do a filter. In other words, you can do a search for them. So I'll type in I'll type in travel. And then it'll show you the ones that have to do with that topic, right? So you can search on the activity. In this case, I'll pick on the word chat. Okay, so these are chats that I have in the past. So you can see how it says recent. And, I can actually go back to those and see what the actual chat was. So it keeps that history for you, which is very helpful. And then if I pick on contacts, then, these are different people that we've been in touch with. I'll show you how to set those up. But the chat is going to be where we can, this is a chat over here. So let me go to perhaps a different one. And then you can see I can send messages back to that person. They can send messages back to me. But when we're chatting, we're not actually sharing the cameras. That happens within a meeting. I'll talk more about the chats pretty soon. So let's pick on the Teams icon. And the team icons is where you set up your teams. So maybe that's the people that you work with, or maybe that's your customers and your vendors. Now, in order for people to use Microsoft Teams, they have to have a Microsoft account. So I can't just invite everybody here. They have to have a Microsoft account. Now, you can invite people to your team that are not within your department or within your company. That's okay. But they do have to have a Microsoft account. So maybe you have different teams for different purposes. Maybe one is your actual department that you work for. Maybe one is for your vendor. So maybe there's another one for your clients. So you can have different teams or different groups. And then let's come over here and notice what it says. Join or create a team. Now, when it says join a team over here, somebody can send you a meeting code. Perhaps they would invite you to a team with an email, and the email would have the meeting code, and you would type in the meeting code over here, and then you'll be part of that team. But somebody has to invite you into that for that one to work. Or you can make up your own teams. So let's make up a new team here. Now I can make it from scratch, or maybe you have an existing template. So here it says an existing Office 365 group or team. So it does integrate with Office 365 quite a bit, and we'll talk more about that. But anyway, I'm going to build a team from scratch. And so let's talk about these settings. If you pick on private, that means people need permission to join. You have to specifically invite people in. If you make it public, anybody in your company can join. Anybody in your company can automatically join without permission. They'll be in automatically. Organization-wide means everyone in your organization automatically joins. All right, so you want to decide how you want to set these up. Private means you have to send out the invitation specifically. Public means anybody maybe in your department or your organization can automatically join that team. And organization means anybody maybe in your whole company or your company worldwide can go into that team automatically. All right, so in this case, I'm actually going to make it, let's say, private. And then you would invite people into there. So I'll call this the webinar team. You can call it whatever you wanted to, of course. And then you can create a description, although that is optional. Just copy that in there. Good. So no problem with that, and we'll click on create. And then you get the idea that you're in there. Now we can start adding people into this team. So for example, I'll type in another address here. So this is another one of my email addresses. And I'm going to add that person in. Now what just happened is that other user now they just received an email, and it'll give them a link to that team. So in this case, I can ask somebody else to come in, and then that person is going to be added to that team as well. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and pick on close here. Those people just were sent emails as an invitation to that team, and you can see how the webinar team is now in the list. You can have as many of those as you need. Okay, now let's come over here, and we see the webinar team. Let's go over and pick on the three dots. And the three dots is going to give us more options, like it said. So you really want to know how to manage these teams. Now, we'll talk about managing the team in a few minutes. Adding a channel means we're going to add like a subset, maybe for like a different project. So the channels are really for different projects. So let's go ahead and add a channel. And let's say we have, this is going to be for, let's say this is going to be for the marketing project. I'll just call it marketing. And then I can have a description there, and then the privacy can be the same, or maybe this is for certain people on that team. All right, so it could be kind of a subset here. The channel is maybe a different department or a different project within that team. Automatically show this channel in everybody's channel list, and that'll be fine. I want this to be accessible, and I'll pick on add. Otherwise, it could be hidden. And notice how we have the marketing channel under that team. And I'll show you how to manage all these very soon. And let's add another channel. So I'll pick on the three dots next to the team, and we'll do add a channel. And maybe I want a whole other one for sales. And that'll be fine. And I want that to be in everybody's list as well. Good. So we'll see the importance of the teams and the channels very soon. I'm just trying to show you how to get around these screens. Now, if I pick on the webinar team, it actually has its own platform, and each channel has its own platform as well. If you notice, I just clicked on the webinar team, and if I pick on the arrow over here, then I would see the channels, right? So we can collapse those or put those away. Now, if I pick on the webinar team, this is under the teams category over here. Notice you have this workspace in the middle here. And in the workspace, I can add some different things into here. So the post would be like all the activity for that particular team would wind up in the posts. So here I created the channel, I created, invited that person, I invited that person, right? Even here, I can add more people, create more channels. The FAQ is basically, a list on how to use the platform, how to use Teams. Here's the really significant part about this. I'm going to pick on files. So within the files section, we can actually upload files, and this is where SharePoint really comes in. It's really using SharePoint as the back end here. So if I upload files to that team, then everybody will be able to view that file and even update it at the same time. So we're going to try something like that. So I'll pick on files and I'll pick on upload. Now the files that will work the best will be the newer file types. So if you've been using Excel for a long time, like I have, the file type used to be XLS, and those are the older styles. You really want the newer styles. Those are the ones that are going to work best in Microsoft Teams. So you want like SLSX if it's going to be Excel. Maybe PowerPoint would be PPTX. Word would be DOCX. So let's even put this one up there, and I'll pick on open. Well, let's do all three. Why not? So those are being uploaded, and now they're going to be there. Good. So it's still uploading the other one. The other one might be a little bit larger. That PowerPoint might be a little bit big. So now people will be able to get to these files and actually collaborate on it once we upload those. Let's go through some more of these choices on this window. So I picked on the team, then I picked on files over here. Let's see what new says. So I can add a new folder. So you can organize these files within folders, just like on your computer or just like on SharePoint. In fact, these files are up on a SharePoint folder now within your Office 365. And you can add new documents into there. If I pick on upload, we can upload files or an entire folder. Now where it says sync, I can make that sync with OneDrive. So OneDrive is the cloud storage system for Microsoft, right? So we can sync that with a OneDrive folder. Oh, that's what sync means. So then when you add things to the OneDrive, it'll sync it with here or vice versa. Now, copy the link means I can maybe send an invitation to that file to somebody else. So I'm going to click on that file, right? And then I'll say copy link. So now I would send that link to somebody in their email, that would invite them to that file so they can use that file. Let's see how it's using SharePoint as well. Both of those links are going to go to the same location. It's just a different address because one's SharePoint and one's Teams, as you can see. All right, and then I would copy that and then paste it into an email, and that will be one way to invite people to that file. We're getting around here. Now, if you're familiar with SharePoint, this kind of looks like a SharePoint folder if you think about it, or a document library. So if I click onto that file name, let's go to the Word document. If I click on that file name, it's going to open up that file, and I can actually edit that right within Teams. Okay, so I can make changes to this file right within Microsoft Teams. The powerful part about this, everybody, is that anybody on that team can also modify that file. And in fact, they can be in there at the same time. So I'm going to try to get it so that we have more than one person here at the same time within that file. But I just made a change to that document right on the Teams platform, and I'll pick on Close. So when you pick on that team over here, you pick on Files, and then these would be files that you want people to collaborate on. All right. Now, by the way, look what I'll do. If I pick on the three dots next to that file, then we can copy it, download it, delete it, the standard type of things, rename it. But look what it says. I can open it up in SharePoint. The significance of this is that it's going to go to SharePoint. And now you can put your SharePoint settings in there as well. So here's maybe where you would make that more secure and, go ahead and apply settings to that library like you would in SharePoint. So the Teams is using SharePoint as the back end. That's where it stores the files on the internet, okay? So I'm back in Teams now. I was able to go to the three dots and then say open in SharePoint. Then you'll be able to make it more secure and do your SharePoint settings, and then those would apply to the Teams folder as well. So they work together very well. In fact, if I come over here and pick on these three dots, that's for the entire folder. Right? This is for the entire folder. This is for each individual file. And there's open in SharePoint as well. All right? Remember, in SharePoint, if we want to change those documents, sometimes you have to check it out. So there's that checkout. That's kind of a word from SharePoint if you're familiar with that, right? So Teams really works with SharePoint very well, and it works with Microsoft Office very well at the same time. Notice how I was able to click on that document and then actually change that document, right? Well, let's see if I can get the other person to be on there at the same time. So now when that team was created, it should have sent out an email. Let me see if I'm going to go to the other computer now and see if that email has arrived. So let me try something else. I'm going to close this window. Let's see if we can send that link to that file. So let me get that link again. I'm going to click on the three dots and I'll click on copy link. And I'm going to send that as an email to the other person. So just give me a second here. I'm going to send an email, actually to my other email address, and see if we can be on there at the same time. Okay, so I'm on this computer with the Teams, right? Now this user on this computer is one email address. And let me see if I can get to, let me see if that email got sent out. Now I'm going to try to go to a different computer that's right next to this other computer, and I'm going to try to click on that link that I just made. That the other computer is now actually going into Teams. And in this case, let's see. The other computer, okay, so that let me into that. Let me see if the Teams are there. Okay, so unfortunately I'm having trouble with that other computer, but that other person will be able to get into that file at the same time, and we can actually work on it at the same time. So let's try an Excel file. I'm going to close this window with the word close here. Okay, let's try the Excel file. And really, it'll be better if it's going to be the XLSX rather than the older styles. So I'm going to be able to edit this file. This one has a chart. Now, quite frankly, some of the features that you use in normal Excel may not be available in the Teams version of Excel. But I can click on that cell and be able to make that change right on the Teams website. And trust me, the other people in the team would be able to get to that file at the same time. So that's where the collaborative nature of Teams is going to work out. So I'll pick on close there. Let's type in 25,000 there, and we'll see if it actually changed. See how the chart changed. So it's working like an Excel workbook, really. Now let's see if it actually saved. I'll go back right into there. And you can see how it did change. So trust me, other people would be able to go into that file as well. So that's really the collaborative nature of the Teams. I'm just trying to get into the other computer now. Oh, I see. You know what? On the other computer, I'm logged on as somebody else. So let me log on as a different address. That's what the problem is. Okay, so I'll try to set that up for you a little bit later on. So I'm going to close this window with close, and now I'm back to this screen. So my whole point there is when you're on that Teams, you go to the files and you upload things that you want to share or you want to collaborate on. Then they can click on that file. More than one person could be on the file at the same time. You would see each other's changes. So that's the whole collaborative nature of it. And then here we can download those files, delete them, rename them, open them in SharePoint, and so on. Now let's take a look at the Wiki. See where it says Wiki up there. The Wiki is a shared space where people can write in here, or they can put notes in here, and other people on the team would see the Wiki as well. So in this case, I'm going to type in, you know, test page. And then let's say this is going to be the first section. And then other people on the team will be able to share this document. So the Wiki is just kind of like a shared workspace that we can share notes on or do these kind of things, and everybody will see each other's changes right on the team's website. Now, a really interesting one over here is this plus sign. So the plus sign means we're going to add new applications into this top toolbar of that team. So I'll pick on the plus sign. And then there's actually many apps, and they're always adding more. So I can add an Excel document, OneNote, PDF, PowerPoint, and so on. Let's try an Excel document. Now this is looking for those files that you uploaded. So I'm going to pick on the student file and watch what that did for us. I'll pick on Save. Notice how it made a new tab out of that file. So now I don't have to go to the Files tab and then pick on that file. I just pick on that Excel tab, and now I'm right directly into that file. So maybe you would use the tabs for files that we use all the time. So let's try this again. I'm going to pick on Files, and I'm going to upload a file. And I'll pick a different one this time. So again, I'm not looking for the XLS files. I want the ones that say XLSX, and this will be a good one. So I'll pick on that one, and I'll pick on Open. So I want to upload it first, okay? Then I'll pick on the plus sign, and this is going to be, an Excel application. It could be any one of these other ones, and there's lots of them, and they're always adding more. So you can really enhance your team's website with many applications. So I'm going to give it a different name, right? So we'll call it, this is called conditional formatting. Good. And I'm going to pick on the conditional formatting file, and I'll pick on Save. Now check it out. So the Excel one was that student file. And then if I pick on conditional formatting, it puts me right into that file, and it's actually a shared file at this time. So if that's a file that we use all the time, maybe I would make it into a tab. Let's try one more. Let's try that Word document. So I picked on the plus sign. I'll pick on the word app. And then I'll pick on, that Word document that we uploaded. I'll pick on Save. And now that has the new tab. If I pick on the word app, I'm right into that document. And again, multiple people will be in there at the same time. Really, really powerful features as far as the collaboration. Now, remember how I made that channel, right? So the team has its own toolbar. If I go to the marketing channel has its own toolbar and its own files. So it's kind of like a subset of the main team. Maybe those are for different projects or different departments within your company. So now maybe, the channels will make more sense for you. In this case, I picked on that channel, and even there, it has its own files, its own wiki, and its own, applications. So let's try one more here. So I'll pick on files within that team. Then we're going to do an upload. And I'll just pick a different file here. So again, I'm looking for the newer files. The one with the XLS, those one. So that'll be a good example. Good. Now I'll pick on the plus sign to add that as an app. Do Excel. I'll pick on this one. This is the tab name. And then I'll pick on Save. And now we see there's that tab, and it goes right into that file. And it's actually active. So the channel is just kind of a subset of the team. Maybe it's a different project or a different department. All right, and each one has their own top toolbar up there. Now, if I wanted to invite people to this team, I'm going to pick on the webinar team. I'm going to come over here and pick on the three dots, and then I can manage the team, or I can add the channel. We can invite people into there. So let's go ahead and see what manage the team is going to do for us. Okay, so here I can see the people who are already in there. Remember how I invited those people into there. And then I'm going to pick on Add Member, and we can just keep on adding more people into the team. Now remember how we made this team private. If we had picked on public or those other choices, then it would have automatically included people into the team. So you have to decide how you want this to appear. So now notice what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over through these different tabs. So pending request means maybe people have asked to join that team and you have to approve them. All right, so that's a possibility. And then there's the channels that we set up. And then you can either decide to show those or not show those. Remember the channels. And then the settings, so let's say you want to customize this. So I'll pick on the team picture. And then, you can give it a better picture. So I'll go ahead and pick on change picture. And, we'll upload a picture from here. Oh, it says it's still doing some things to set that up. So that'll be available maybe in the next few minutes or the next hour or so. But they're still doing some things in the background, which is fine. So you can, when I pick on the settings, I can change member permissions. Right? And then we can see a guest would be what can people who are not part of our team, but maybe guests from outside of the organization, what can they do? So you have a lot of good features here. Now look down here, it says fun stuff. Now I can show you where the fun stuff is, like emojis and memes, so you can turn those on or you can turn those off. Some people prefer to turn those off and maybe just use this team for pure business and not have some of the funner features, which I'll show you. All right. So we got to all of this by picking on the three dots next to webinar team, and I picked on manage team. Analytics will show you which pages are being used the most and who's coming in and these kind of things. Okay. And then there's the apps that we can always add more apps or take them away. If I go back to the three dots for that team, let's see what it says when we edit the team. By editing the team, I can change the team name or the description or that privacy setting, right? So you're never stuck in stone. You can always go back and change these features. So over here, we have a calendar. Everybody in the team would share the calendar, all right? So then I can set up meetings and then people would see that on the calendar within the Teams platform. So that is, it actually goes back to SharePoint as well. Now, let's talk about a call. When we're in the chat area, I can't hear that person. I can't see that person. I can only, type in with the chat. However, we can make a call to that person. Now, the call is going to be over the internet. It's going to be, voice over internet protocol, VoIP. So in this case, I can pick my contacts, people who I want to call, and it'll actually call them on their computer. Okay. So now a call would be where you can actually hear their voice. Maybe people have microphones in their computer and speakers. So the microphones and speakers would be important there. And then within the call, we can actually make it a visual call as well. So when we do a call, we would be able to hear their voice. And there also will be a button that would say, turn the camera on. And then you would make it a visual call as well. So that's the only way you can really see other people, if you make a call or if you do what we call a meeting. So if we go back to the Calendars app, see how it says make a meeting or meet now. All right, so let's pick on meet now. And then it would automatically invite everybody onto that team. Okay, so I'm going to say join now. And then those other people on the team would start to have notifications. Okay, and now you actually see me. That's me talking on this webinar right now. So then people would start to come into the, I can invite people in there. And then notice with the, when we're in this meeting or even on a call, look at some of the icons down here. We can turn the camera on or off. We can turn the microphone on or off. We can share, in this case, this is where you share your screen. So you have to be on a call or on a meeting within Teams to share your screen. Okay, I picked on share and I picked on maybe desktop window, and then people would actually see what I'm doing on my screen. So it's a very, very good point. You have to be on a call or on a meeting within Teams to share your screen. That's very important. A regular chat doesn't allow you to do that. And in this case, So we have more settings here. We can make it full screen. We can record the meeting, right? And then I'm going to hang up. So, and then it's asking for feedback there, which is fine. So what I just did there is I went to the calendar. I can meet now, which makes it kind of instant, or we can schedule a meeting. Let's see what happens if we try to schedule a meeting. See how it has the meeting title, the date and time, the channel, maybe it would be the different channels, of course. And then you would put in who you want to be on that meeting. So that would be on the schedule, and then people would know that would be on their calendar. They would receive an email about that. But if I say meet now, it's kind of like an instant meeting, and then I would start to invite people into that. That's actually me speaking at this webinar right now. And then I'll say invite someone and actually invite other people in there. All right? Let's go ahead and close that window. But that's the only place that you'll be able to share your camera and the microphone and also share your screen. You have to be on what we call a meeting or a call for those things to happen. All right, so we're done with this meeting, so I'm going to hang up with that. Good. Now, let's talk about the chat facility. I'm going to go back to chat for a second. And with the chat, we would then, pick a person on our team, and I'm going to join that chat. So I actually went into the meeting again. So anyway, that was a pretty short meeting, and that's fine. Okay, so with the chat, if I pick on the contacts, then we start to see people who we've chat with before and things like that. Okay, so let's take a look at the chat platform. So you would join this chat and invite other people into that chat as well. So look at some of these icons down at the bottom. We can format the text. So if I type in my name here, and I want to format the text, so I'm going to click on the format icon, and then you have your classic formatting. Bold, the font size, and so on, right? The colors. And then that'll be fine. Now, if I want to send that, I'll pick on the send icon over here. And it shows up just like you formatted it. Let's go through some of those icons in the chat. So the delivery options means maybe you want to do that, put it as urgent or standard or important. All right, so if that's a really, really urgent message, then it says recipients notified every 2 minutes for 20 minutes. So, that person will be notified about that message until they acknowledge it. Now, I can attach a file to the chat. So this is another way to make it collaborative. So I'm going to attach a file, upload it from my computer, and we'll pick, an Excel file again. So here's the Excel file, right? Now, in order for that other person to see that, I'll say something like, here's the file. Make sure you pick on send. This is a common problem that I see a lot. People open up that window, but nothing really happens on the other side until you pick on send. That's really important. Good. Now check it out. That file is now in the chat. Now from here, they can pick on the 3 dots and download that to computer. But if I pick on that file name, it'll actually open it up. And now this is a shared document as well. Okay, so more than one person can be on that file at the same time in that way. So that's kind of interesting. So we were able to share that file in the chat. We can both click on that and then be able to work on it at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and close that window now. Now that file itself, this is kind of the weird thing. That file itself is only in this chat, okay? Whereas if I come over here and pick on the 3 dots, people would have access to the files there. Those are the files that you uploaded in the top toolbar, Remember how I added those different files. So these are the recent files and so on. So actually, that one did wind up in there as well. So if you add a file into that chat, it'll wind up in the files, or if you add it through that top toolbar, it'll be in there as well. Now remember, I could just click on this and it'll open up that file, and now more than one person could be in there at the same time. It really would be the case. So I'm going to go ahead and notice how it looks like Excel, except it's the online version. So you really have to have Office 365 to make all of this work. And of course, Teams comes with Office 365. Let's go back into our chat again. Okay, so I'll go back to the recent chats, and I'm here on this one. Let's go through some of these other icons. I just showed you how to attach that file. And then here is maybe some of the fun things that go along with Teams. So I pick on the emoji, and then you have many of those icons that we're familiar with, the happy face, and there's some different ones. If something is funny, of course, right? And then the cool one. So I'll pick one of those. And now remember, you want to make sure you pick on the send. And you can see it's actually activated. So we have the emojis there. There's the GIF files. So these are like fun little things that you can share with people, right? There's some that are built in. You can actually add your own if you wanted to. But I picked on the GIF, and maybe I'll just pick on this one. And I'm going to go ahead. This is a guy washing his hands, right? Which we all need right now. So I'm going to go ahead and send that. And that's part of the chat, right? So these are the fun items. So I'll show you how to turn those off again if you didn't feel that was going to be appropriate for your organization. But, it never hurts to lighten things up a little bit. We have these stickers, right? So I'm sure you've seen that icon before. And there happens to be a whole lot of them. So these are kind of the fun features of Teams. All right, so let's say, there you go. And then it's going to be part of the chat. Now this one, the stream means we can use something from Microsoft Stream. That would be like a video or an audio file or something like that. So you have to have a link from Microsoft Stream there. And then in this case, if I wanted to give somebody praise, there's a feature like that. And you have, we'll pick on awesome, and then send them a note. All right, and you pick the person's name. So now if I pick on the three dots, then we can get different information from Wikipedia or from weather, and actually get live real-time information from those applications. So, if you don't want to see those things, watch what we'll do. We'll go back to our teams. So I'll pick on the webinar team, I'll pick on the three dots, and I'll say manage team. And then you pick on your settings. And then, we have that fun stuff, right? And you can decide if you want to, enable those things or not. So we can turn those off for right now. And then I'll save that window. And then those things will no longer be available within that chat for that team. And you can do that at the channel level. Notice when I pick on the marketing channel, I get the three dots, and I can manage the channel and get the same kind of settings there. When it says get the link to the channel, you can send that within an email. So that's another way to invite people into there as well. And they could just click on that link, right? And they'll be on a part of that team. So let's go back to some of our slides now. Now, in this case, this was the initial screen where we went into Microsoft Teams. And then notice how we have the Teams over here. Now, on this next slide, I'm showing you the other way to go into Microsoft Teams. You can go into the website. So here, just like I did at the beginning today, I went up to Google and I typed in Microsoft Teams. And then the very top one will be the one that you want to go to, products.office.com/Microsoft.Teams, and you click on that, and then you'll be into the Teams platform. Here I am, and then you would sign in, right? So you can go into the website, or you can go into the app. And the app works on the computer or on the phone or any of your devices. So you can get to your Teams from anywhere, right? Then remember how I showed you the activity. Let's go back to the activity again. So this is actually on the internet in this case. And I'll pick an activity. And then we'll see my activity. And we'll see probably the chat and things like that. Takes a second to refresh. And now you can see how I added the new tab into this channel. And you see all the activity that I've done recently. So I'll pick on chat. And then we see our chats that I can actually go back into any one of those chats, and that person will be notified that the chat is active again. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to PowerPoint. That was the activity. There's the chat. And then here's where we actually set up the teams and the channels. You could say join or create a team down here. And then when I picked on the three dots, that's where we manage the teams and set up the channels and those kind of things. Here's the calendar. So if I add something to the calendar, then people on the team will be notified by email. This is also where remember how we did that instant meeting? We picked on Meet Now, or I can schedule a meeting. Now remember, the meetings is where we can hear each other's microphones, and hear each other talk, and also share the cameras, and also share our screens. The calls and the meetings are the only place where we can hear people's voices and the cameras and share people's screens, or share your own screen. And then there's that call. So when the call starts off, it's just an audio call, but then you'll have that setting where you can turn the camera on. All right, so when the call starts, it's just an audio call, but you can turn the camera on within there, and that's also where you can share it. So it actually becomes a meeting, so you can share the screen in there as well. And notice when we picked on calls, let's go back to the other slide. Here I can make a call and just pick one of the people on our team. There's the files. Let's take a look at that again. So let me go back to Teams now. All right, so I'm going to go back to the actual Teams icon, and we're going to pick on our team. So I'll pick on Files. So you upload the things here, okay? Or you could make those tabs like I showed you. But I'm going to pick on Upload. And this time, let's see if we have a different file. So why don't we let's see. How about this? Let's see what we can use. How about an Excel file? So there's one. So I'm going to pick on Open now. And now it's uploading it into files that people can get to. So now guests may not see these top toolbars, or they would see the ones that you've added with the apps, but really, you say, look on the left-hand side for the word files, and then they'll be able to see the files that you uploaded, okay? And then you can click on that, and then they'll actually in that file and be able to edit it at that time. So in this case, I can, change that file right from here. And then everybody would see the changes once we close that. And those will be collaborative. So when I go back to that team, the team has their own top toolbar, and the channels have their own top toolbar as well. So you can manage those as you need to. All right, so let's go back to PowerPoint. That's how everybody would actually get to those files with the Files tab there. Now there's many apps that you can add into your teams. You can customize this in lots of ways, and Microsoft is really working with many people to give you more apps. So let's go back into to our team site. Look over here, and it says Apps. So you have to go through these and see which ones might be useful for you. I use Zoom a lot. In fact, I do a lot of Zoom webinars. So you can interact it with Zoom or with WebEx and with many other tools. Microsoft is really reaching out to many people, and they're making these apps for teams so that they can collaborate in a bigger way. So that's going to be up to you and your company how you want to use those. This one, the workflow, is where that works with SharePoint really well, where you can set a workflow, a document workflow where people can sign off and those kind of things. Of course, we have the help over here. That was the apps. Now remember, another place to add the apps is within this top toolbar. So I want to add that, let's see if it'll let me add the PowerPoint document. So I'll pick in the plus sign. Now I'm in the sales channel, right? And then let's see if PowerPoint is there. Yeah, okay, so let's pick on, let's go close this window. Let's go back to the general tab, or the webinar team chat, and I'll pick on the plus sign. We'll do PowerPoint. See, it has to be a file that's already been uploaded. So I'm going to click that and pick on save. And now that tab should actually display that PowerPoint, and people can change it right from there as well. So I really like those tabs. It just gives you instant access to those files. Otherwise, you go to the Files tab and you see all the files, right? But that's a nice feature. So let me go back into the PowerPoint that came with the session here. Let's see what this one is. So this is where, I'm showing you the top toolbar up there that we went through a few times. There's the Wiki. So the Wiki is like a shared workspace. You can just type things in there and everybody would be able to work on that, at the same time. And that's kind of a permanent part of that top toolbar. It's always up there. And then the plus sign would be how we add those tabs into the top toolbar, and the tabs are made up of the different applications. And you can see there's many, many of them. So you can really use this Teams in many ways. The ideas that I gave you today will work with any of the apps that are up there, but now you can just customize that. So here in this slide, I used the chart example, and then you can see how that tab now goes right into that chart example. And that's the one that I showed you here in this session. And then that's how we can get to our chats. And then I showed you some of the important icons down here on the chat toolbar as well. So remember, the chat is just a chat, although we can share the files there. If you really want to hear their voice or see their face or share your screen, you either make a call or you make a meeting. And then on this slide, it's just continue with the chat. Let's take a look at those icons on the top of the screen up there. So I'm going to go back to Teams, and I'm going to pick on the chat. And let's go back into that chat. Now, in this case, I'm going to join this chat. And actually, it's going to set up that meeting. So now, when we join it, then we can actually see each other's, now we're actually into one of those meetings, okay?